There is a stillness that exists before the beginning of time, and it waits patiently behind the chaotic noise of your daily thoughts. It is a presence that does not strive, and it does not argue, and it does not beg for attention, because it simply is. This presence is the quiet power that you call God. And it is not a deity sitting on a throne in the sky, judging your every move, but rather it is the very awareness that beats your heart and sustains your breath and holds the atoms of your body in perfect cohesion. We gather here today to recognize a profound truth that has the power to change the course of your life, which is that the restoration you seek is not something distant or outside of you, but it is already within, waiting to be claimed. Most of us live our lives in a state of constant tension, believing that we must manipulate the world with our physical hands to achieve safety or happiness or love. We have been conditioned by a society that worships effort and glorifies struggle to believe that if we are not exhausted, we are not making progress. We are taught that if we do not hustle and if we do not worry and if we do not force doors open, then we will be left behind in the race of life. But I am here to tell you that this frantic way of living is the very obstacle that keeps you from your desires. To put everything in God's hand is to finally understand that what you have been seeking through effort is already held in completion by grace. We must begin by dismantling the great illusion that your personal effort is the source of your supply. Look at the world around you and observe the people who are working the hardest. Often, they are the ones who have the least. Then observe those who seem to move through life with a certain grace and ease, and you will often find that opportunities flock to them like birds to a sanctuary. This is not an accident of luck, but a demonstration of a spiritual law. The law states that the world is a mirror, and it reflects your inner state of being. If your inner state is one of struggle and striving and desperate chasing, then the world must reflect that back to you in the form of obstacles and delays and things that run away from you. But if your inner state is one of rest and trust and knowing, then the world must reflect that back to you in the form of ease and flow and restoration. To put everything in God's hand is the act of shifting your inner state from the beggar to the receiver. It is the mental act of stepping off the hamster wheel of anxiety and stepping onto the solid ground of faith. It is to say to the universe that I no longer carry this burden alone, and I no longer chase what is mine by divine right, because I know that what is mine will come to me. This concept of surrender is often misunderstood by the modern mind, which equates letting go with giving up. The ego is terrified of surrender because the ego believes that it is the only thing keeping your life together. The ego whispers to you in the middle of the night that if you stop worrying, everything will collapse. It tells you that your anxiety is a form of control, and that your stress is a form of responsibility. But I tell you that true surrender is the most courageous act a person can perform, because it requires you to trust in an invisible power more than you trust in the visible evidence of your senses. It requires you to look at a bank account that says lack and feel abundance. It requires you to look at a body that says sickness and feel health. It requires you to look at a relationship that is broken and feel restoration. This is not madness, and this is not delusion. This is the high watch of the Spirit. To put everything in God's hand is not to abandon your dreams, but to place them in the most capable care imaginable. It is to acknowledge that the intelligence that created the universe is far more capable of managing the details of your life than your limited conscious mind. When we speak of God's hand, we are speaking of the operational power of the imagination. You must realize that your imagination is sacred, and it is not mere fantasy or a tool for daydreaming, but it is the language through which God speaks to you and through you. The imagination is the hand of God in the human soul. When you imagine a desire fulfilled and feel its truth as though it were happening right now, you are placing that desire into the hand of God. You are taking it out of the realm of time and placing it into the realm of the eternal. In the eternal. Now the thing is already done. It is finished. The moment you imagine it with feeling, the blueprint is drawn and the command is given. The trouble begins when you take it back out of God's hand. You take it back when you start to worry about how it will happen. You take it back when you start to doubt if it will happen. You take it back when you try to force it to happen. To leave it in God's hand means to leave it alone in the womb of creation and to trust that the gestation period is perfectly timed. Consider the lilies of the field and the birds of the air. They do not toil and they do not spin, yet they are fed and they are clothed in beauty. The oak tree does not beg the sun to rise every morning. It does not stress and strain to pull water from the earth. It simply stands in its nature and allows the universe to provide for it. It trusts that its growth is assured by the laws of nature. You are no different. You are a part of this great cosmic dance. The same life force that flows through the tree flows through you. The only difference is that you have the power of choice. You can choose to block the flow with your fear, or you can choose to allow the flow with your faith. Your job is not to make the sun rise. Your job is to plant the seed in your imagination and let God water it with divine timing. You must let go of worry, because worry is nothing more than faith in the negative. Worry is a prayer for what you do not want. It is the misuse of your creative imagination. When you worry, you are imagining the worst possible outcome and feeling it is real. You are essentially commanding the universe to bring you disaster. You must stop this misuse of your power. You must let go of the effort that stems from fear. Trust that the hand which shaped the stars and spun the galaxies also shapes your destiny. Do you really believe that the power that orchestrated the Big Bang and designed the complexity of the human eye is incapable of finding you a job or healing your body or restoring your marriage? It is the height of arrogance for the little human intellect to think it knows better than the infinite wisdom. When you feel fear rising within you, remind yourself that this is not yours to figure out, but it is God's to finish. The burden of the how is not yours to carry. The how is the domain of the divine. Your domain is the what. You define what you want, and you accept it as done, and you leave the rest to the deeper mind. In that surrender, you do not lose control, but you gain everything, because you align yourself with the omnipotent power that knows no obstacle. You align yourself with the river of life that is always moving toward expansion and joy. Do not mistake passivity for powerlessness. Many people think that if they surrender, they will become lazy or they will stop taking action. This is not true. There is a vast difference between forced action and inspired action. Forced action comes from fear. It is the frantic paddling of a drowning man. It is exhausting and it is often ineffective. Inspired action comes from faith. It is the intuitive nudge to make a call or to go to a place or to start a project. It feels light and it feels exciting and it flows effortlessly. When you are in the state of surrender, you will still act, but your actions will be guided by wisdom rather than driven by panic. To rest in faith is the greatest act of power. It takes immense strength to remain calm when the storm is raging around you. It takes immense strength to smile when the world says you should be crying. This inner stability is the rock upon which your new life will be built. The world may urge you to hustle and to prove your worth, but the soul whispers to be still and know. Put your dreams and your needs and your relationships and your finances, all of it in God's hand. Not with desperation, but with the confidence of a child who knows their parent delights in giving them the kingdom. A child does not worry about where their next meal is coming from. They trust their parents implicitly. You must become as a little child in your trust of the universe. You must cultivate a sense of expectancy. You must wake up in the morning, not with dread, but with a thrill of anticipation, knowing that good things are being prepared for you. Walk as though it is done. This is the secret of the masters. They do not wait for the evidence to appear before they believe. They believe and then the evidence appears. Speak as though it is yours. Do not speak of what you are going to do or what you hope to have. Speak of who you are and what you have now in your imagination. Feel as though you already have it. The feeling is the secret. It is the chemical reaction in the soul that precipitates the miracle. Because once you put it in God's hand, it is done. It is a signed contract. It is a guaranteed delivery. We are here to talk about restoration. Many of you feel that you have lost time. You feel that you have wasted years in the wrong career or the wrong relationship or in a state of sickness. You look back with regret and you think that it is too late for you. But I am here to tell you that in the economy of God, nothing is ever lost. The power of restoration is the power to bring back the years that the locusts have eaten. It is the power to take the broken pieces of your life and rearrange them into a mosaic that is more beautiful than the original picture. But this restoration cannot happen if you are holding on to the past with regret. You cannot drive the car forward if you are staring into the rearview mirror. You must let go of the old story. You must forgive yourself for what you did not know. You must forgive others for the roles they played in your drama. You must clear the slate so that the hand of God can write a new chapter. This introduction is an invitation to a new way of being. It is an invitation to step out of the matrix of struggle and into the kingdom of grace. It requires a radical shift in your perception. You must stop seeing yourself as a victim of circumstances and start seeing yourself as the operant power of your reality. You must stop seeing God as a distant judge and start seeing God as your own wonderful human imagination. When you make this shift, everything changes. The heavy weight that you have been carrying on your shoulders lifts. The tension in your jaw relaxes. The fear in your stomach dissolves. You realize that you are safe. You realize that you are supported. You realize that you are loved. You are not an orphan in a hostile universe. You are the beloved child of the infinite. As we journey deeper into this message, we will explore the anatomy of this surrender, and we will learn how to silence the noisy mind, and we will discover the specific techniques for placing your desires into the womb of creation. But for now, in this opening moment, I simply ask you to open your heart. I ask you to suspend your disbelief. I ask you to lay down your armor. You have been fighting for so long and you are tired. It is okay to be tired. It is okay to admit that your way has not been working. That admission is the doorway to grace. When you finally say, I cannot do this on my own, the universe says, finally, now I can help you. The surrender is the key that unlocks the door. It is the signal that you are ready to receive. So take a deep breath and let it go. Imagine for a moment that you are carrying a heavy backpack filled with rocks. Each rock represents a worry or a fear or a responsibility that you have been carrying. Now imagine that you are taking that backpack off and setting it down on the ground. Feel the lightness in your shoulders. Feel the freedom in your spine. That is what we are doing here today. We are setting down the burden. We are giving it to God. We are trusting that the power that holds the planets in orbit is capable of holding your life together. You do not need to hold it together anymore. You can let go. You can trust. You can rest. And in that rest, you will find the restoration of your soul and the fulfillment of your deepest dreams. This is the promise. This is the law. This is the divine surrender. Surrender is not giving up on your life, but it is giving over your life to the higher power within, and that distinction changes everything about how you experience reality. We must begin by dissecting the very word surrender, because for generations we have been conditioned to view it as a dirty word. In the language of war, surrender means defeat, and it means you have lost the battle and the enemy has won. In the language of the ego, surrender means weakness and a lack of will. But in the language of the spirit, surrender is the ultimate act of strength. It is the moment when the limited human mind acknowledges that it has reached the end of its logic, and it voluntarily hands the reins over to a limitless intelligence that sees the entire board. True surrender is the active engagement of a higher law. It is not about walking away from your desire in despair, but about walking deeper into faith with expectancy. It is about knowing beyond reason and evidence that the power that breathed life into you did not do so to abandon you to chance. When you surrender, you are not discarding your dream, and you are not denying your hope, and you are not turning your back on your future. You are placing it gently and trustingly into the hands of the infinite intelligence that already knows the way to fulfillment better than your conscious mind ever could. We must confront the addiction to struggle that plagues the human condition. We are taught from a young age that if something is valuable, it must be hard to obtain. We are taught that there is honor in exhaustion, and that the only way to prove our worth is by carrying the weight of the world on our shoulders. This belief system creates a resistance to surrender because we feel that if we are not struggling, we are not earning our keep. But this is a lie born of the physical senses. The most powerful forces in the universe do not struggle. Gravity holds the planets in orbit without breaking a sweat. The earth spins on its axis without a groaning engine. The grass grows without straining its muscles. These things happen through the law of allowing and the law of flow. When you are fighting for your desire, you are actually pushing it away, because the energy of the fight is the energy of resistance. It implies that there is an opposing force that is stronger than you, but when you surrender, you dissolve the opposition. You realize that the only thing standing between you and your desire was your own insistence on doing it the hard way. Surrender is the realization that the battle was imaginary and the peace is real. Let us look at the anatomy of this process through the metaphor of the river. Imagine that you are in a small boat on a vast river. Your desire is downstream waiting for you in a beautiful, calm bay. But you have been conditioned to believe that you must row upstream to get anywhere. So you grab the oars and you row against the current with all your might. Your muscles burn and your breath comes in short gasps, and you are terrified that if you stop rowing, you will be swept away to destruction. You look at the rocks and the rapids, and you think that your survival depends on your struggle. This is how most people live their lives, constantly fighting the current of their own being. They fight for love, and they fight for money, and they fight for health. They are exhausted and they are disheartened. Surrender is the moment you realize that the river flows toward your desire, not away from it. The current of life is designed to carry you to your fulfillment. The moment you lift the oars and lay them down in the boat, the struggle ceases. You are still moving, but now you are moving with the power of the river instead of against it. You are moving faster than you ever could have rowed, and yet you are at rest. This is the paradox of surrender. You achieve more by doing less because you are leveraging a power greater than your own muscles. This higher power within you does not require your struggle to bring forth what you desire. It requires your permission, and it requires your trust. The mind trained by the world believes it must force everything into being. It believes it must manipulate people and control circumstances and calculate every risk and constantly do something to justify its existence. This is the state of the micromanager who does not trust his team. The conscious mind tries to micromanage the universe, but the universe is too vast and too complex for the little intellect to control. When you try to force a solution, you are operating from a place of limited data. You can only see what is right in front of you, but the higher self can see the entire landscape. When you force a door open, you often find that it leads to an empty room. But when you surrender and let the higher self guide you, the right doors open automatically. The soul knows that all things are already finished in the realm of spirit. Every possibility already exists. And the path to your highest joy is not something you build with physical effort, but something you uncover through spiritual faith. To surrender is to recognize that your personal will is limited, but divine will is boundless. And let us be clear about what divine will is. Divine will is not some external destiny that is imposed upon you against your wishes. Divine will is the fundamental nature of your being seeking expression. It is your own highest desire seeking to be born. God wants for you what you want for yourself in your highest moments of clarity. So when you align with that divine will, not by pleading as a beggar, but by assuming your unity with it, you stop fighting life and start flowing with it. You stop doubting the outcome and start dwelling in the end result. The very act of letting go allows the unseen forces of life to begin their silent orchestration on your behalf. It is like the conductor of an orchestra raising his baton. In that moment of silence before the music begins, there is a surrender of the individual musicians to the collective harmony. If every musician tried to play their own tune, loudly and aggressively, there would be chaos. But when they surrender to the flow of the composition, a masterpiece is created. Your life is a symphony, and your surrender is the act of allowing the great conductor to harmonize the disparate parts of your life into a melody of success and peace. Consider the physical sensation of non-surrender. Imagine for a moment holding tightly onto something in your hand. Perhaps it is a rope or a coin or a stone. Your grip is clenched and your knuckles are white and your whole body is tense with the effort of holding on. You are afraid that if you open your hand, you will lose what you have. This physical tension mirrors your psychological tension. That is how many live their lives with clenched hearts and clenched minds and anxious thoughts, afraid that if they loosen their grip, even for a moment, everything will fall apart. They hold on to toxic relationships because they fear being alone. They hold on to jobs they hate because they fear poverty. They hold on to their sickness because it has become their identity. But here is the truth that will set you free, which is that life flows when you open your hand. You cannot receive anything new if your hand is clenched, shut, holding on to the old. The open hand is the symbol of surrender, and it is also the symbol of receiving. The geometry of receiving requires openness. When you stop trying to make it happen, and instead trust that it is happening right now in the invisible, because you dare to believe you are opening your hand, you are creating a space for the new to enter. When you surrender, you shift from fear to faith, and from lack to fulfillment, and from striving to resting. This shift occurs not because you have no power, but because you finally recognize where your true power comes from. It was never from control. It was always from connection. The illusion of control is the greatest source of anxiety in the modern world. We try to control the weather and the economy and the opinions of others and the timing of events, but we control none of these things. The only thing we have absolute control over is our internal reaction and our internal assumption. When you try to control the outside world, you are like a child trying to hold back the ocean with a plastic bucket. You will be overwhelmed. But when you control your inner world by surrendering to the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you become the master of the ocean. The ocean respects the one who flows with it. When you are connected to the source of all life, there is nothing to fear, because what is for you cannot miss you. This is a statement of absolute metaphysical fact. What belongs to your state of consciousness must come to you. You do not need to chase it. A magnet does not chase the iron filings. The magnet simply sits in its nature and the iron filings rush to it. Surrender is the act of becoming the magnet. You sit in the nature of your assumed desire and you let the world rearrange itself around you. What is yours spiritually must reveal itself physically once you surrender the need to chase it. The chase implies that the thing is running away from you. Have you ever noticed that the more you chase a cat, the more it runs? But if you sit still and ignore it, the cat will come and rub against your leg. Desires are very similar. When you pursue them with desperate energy, you push them away with your vibration of lack. But when you surrender the chase and sit in the confidence that it is already yours, the desire seeks you out. To surrender is a sacred invitation that says to the universe, I trust you. It is the ultimate compliment to the Creator. It says, I know you have heard me, and I know my desire was planted not to torment me, but to be fulfilled through me. Why would the universe place a desire in your heart if it had no intention of fulfilling it? That would be cruel, and the universe is not cruel. It is expanding. Your desire is the seed of the universe's next expansion. It wants to be born more than you want to birth it. You do not need to worry, and you do not need to fix, and you do not need to beg. Let us go deeper into the psychology of the fixer. Many of us are addicted to fixing things. We see a problem and our immediate reaction is to jump in and manipulate the pieces. We try to fix other people and we try to fix situations. But often our fixing makes things worse because it comes from a vibration of something is wrong. When you surrender, you stop trying to fix the reflection in the mirror. You realize that the smudge is on the lens of your own mind. You fix the internal perception, and you leave the external world alone. You only need to remain in the state of having, and let the divine hand take care of the details. This is the hardest part for the intellect, because the intellect loves details. It loves itineraries and schedules. But the divine works in mysterious ways. The bridge of incidents that leads to your desire may look nothing like what you planned. You might lose your job only to find a better one. You might get lost only to meet the love of your life. If you are not surrendered, you will panic when the detour happens. You will try to force your way back to the old path. But if you are surrendered, you will look at the detour with curiosity and say, I wonder what wonderful thing is waiting for me here. This is not passivity, but spiritual mastery. Do not let anyone tell you that surrender is for the lazy. It takes a warrior's spirit to stand still when every instinct screams at you to run. It takes a master's discipline to remain silent when every fear screams at you to shout. The strongest soul is the one who knows when to act and when to release. There is a time for action, but it is action that comes from the overflow of joy, not the deficit of fear. It is inspired action. When you are surrendered, you will find yourself doing things. You will write the book or make the call or start the business. But it will feel like play. It will feel like the river carrying you. You will not be burned out because you are not fueling the engine with your own limited adrenaline. You are fueling it with the infinite power of the source. The master knows when to speak and when to rest in silence. Silence is the container of power. In surrender, you enter the silence of the knowing. You stop asking, "Are we there yet?" because you know you are already there in consciousness. And above all, the Master knows that surrender is not the end of a journey, but it is the beginning of miracles. A miracle is simply a violation of the laws of probability. It is something that the logical mind cannot explain. Surrender opens the door for the miraculous because it removes the limitations of logic. Logic says you cannot be healed. Surrender says anything is possible. Logic says you are too old or too poor. Surrender says, "I am infinite." When you surrender, you take the lid off the jar. You allow the universe to surprise you. You allow the restoration to be greater than the loss. You allow the abundance to be greater than the debt. You are essentially saying to God, "Surprise me with your goodness." And God loves that challenge. God loves to show off his power to the one who trusts. So how do you practice this anatomy of surrender in your daily life? It begins with the body. Notice where you are holding tension. Notice the clenched jaw and the raised shoulders. Consciously let go. Breathe into the tension and release it. This physical release signals to your subconscious that you are safe. Then move to the mind. Notice the repetitive thoughts of worry. Do not fight them, but simply observe them and say, "I surrender this thought to the peace of God." Visualize yourself handing a heavy box over to a giant hand of light. Feel the weight leaving your arms. Do this again and again until it becomes your default reaction to stress. Instead of "How do I solve this?" your first reaction becomes, "I surrender this to the solution." You must become comfortable with the void. The void is the space between the request and the answer. In that space, the ego feels like it is falling. It wants to grab onto something. But you must learn to fall into the arms of the divine. You must learn to trust the darkness of the womb where the seed is growing. Do not dig it up. Do not question the darkness. It is a benevolent darkness. It is the shadow of the Almighty protecting your dream while it forms. Surrender is the ultimate trust fall. And I promise you that you will not hit the ground. You will be caught. You will be held. And you will be lifted up to a height you could never have reached by climbing on your own. This is the anatomy of surrender. It is the death of the struggling self and the birth of the triumphant self. It is the gateway to the restoration of all that you love. Imagination is the bridge between your desire and its fulfillment, and you must entrust it to the divine with absolute conviction. We have spoken of surrender not as a giving up, but as a handing over. And now we must define exactly what it is that you are handing over. You are not handing over a vague hope or a formless wish. You are handing over a specific, vivid, and living reality that you have constructed within the sacred chamber of your own mind. Within you lies a sacred power that most people ignore or dismiss or misunderstand completely. They treat imagination as a toy for children or a refuge for the escapist. They say it is only your imagination, as if that makes it less real. But I tell you that this power is the very God force in action. It is not physical, and it does not reside in your hands or in your voice, but it resides in your inner world, which is the only world that truly matters. And yet this invisible faculty shapes the very reality you walk through every day. It is not fantasy, and it is not make-believe. It is creation in its purest form. Look around you at the room you are sitting in. Look at the chair that supports your weight and the walls that shelter you and the device upon which you are hearing these words. Before any of these things existed as physical objects, they existed as invisible images in the mind of a human being. The architect saw the building before the first brick was laid. The inventor saw the machine before the first gear was turned. Everything you see in the world, from every structure to every invention to every work of art and every achievement, was once a seed planted in someone's imagination. That is how powerful it is, because it is the first cause and the original source and the blueprint from which the material world is built. When you understand that your imagination is a sacred bridge and not merely a playground of the mind, everything changes. You stop looking at your imagination as a place to hide from reality, and you start seeing it as the place where you create reality. You realize that you are the operative power in your own universe, and that your life is nothing more than the outpicturing of your own imaginal acts. Desire alone is not enough, because wanting something implies that you do not have it. The state of wanting is a state of separation. It is a declaration of lack. When you say, I want to be healed, you are simultaneously saying, I am sick. When you say, I want to be wealthy, you are saying, I am poor. The universe, which is a faithful servant to your inner state, hears the I am poor and gives you more poverty. It hears the I am sick and gives you more sickness. It is only when you dare to see it and to feel it and to inhabit it in your imagination as though it were real that you begin the true process of manifestation. You must cross the bridge from wanting to having, and the only way to cross that bridge without moving a physical muscle is through the act of imagination. You must enter the state of the wish fulfilled. You must close your eyes and dare to assume that you are already the person you desire to be. You must walk in that state and sleep in that state and dine in that state until it feels natural to you. The mistake most make is believing they must do everything with physical effort, while ignoring the inner world and trusting only what they can see with their eyes and touch with their hands. They work themselves to the bone trying to change the shadows on the screen of life without ever changing the film in the projector. But the eyes and hands are merely instruments of the deeper mind. They are not the source. The source is invisible and the origin is unseen. Imagination is how you reach that source. When you imagine something clearly and feel it deeply, you impress it upon the divine mind within, and you hand it over not with doubt, nor with questions, but with the quiet confidence of one who knows it is already done. This impression is the conception. Just as a physical womb receives a seed and begins the intricate work of knitting together a body, the womb of your subconscious mind receives the imaginal seed and begins the intricate work of knitting together a series of events that will lead to the fulfillment of your dream. You do not need to know how the subconscious will do it. You do not need to know the chemistry of the seed. You only need to plant it and trust the soil. You must understand you were never meant to figure everything out with logic, because the rational mind is limited by past experiences and current senses. The rational mind looks at your bank account and says you cannot afford this. The rational mind looks at the medical report and says this is incurable. The rational mind looks at your history and says you have always failed. If you listen to the rational mind, you will remain trapped in the cycle of the past. But imagination is limitless, and it exists outside of time. It is not bound by your past, and it is not bound by your current facts. Imagination can fly over the walls of logic. It can take you to the end result before one single thing changes in your world. And when you dwell in the end and in the fulfilled state, you bring the future into the now. This is not illusion, but it is the mechanics of creation. It is the fourth dimensional reality intersecting with the third dimensional world. To see yourself as already healthy and already loved and already successful and already free is to walk the bridge before the path appears under your feet. Think of it like this. If you were to walk across a chasm, you would need a bridge. In the physical world, you wait for someone to build the bridge. But in the spiritual world, you build the bridge by walking on the air of your imagination. And as you walk, the bridge solidifies beneath your feet. You do not walk alone, because once you entrust this vision to the divine meaning, once you accept it as true within you, activate unseen forces. Doors open and people shift and events move, not because you pushed them, but because you believed. You might meet a stranger who offers you the exact opportunity you need. You might find a book that contains the answer you have been searching for. You might be fired from a job only to be guided to your true calling. These are not accidents. These are the stones of the bridge rising up to meet you. Most people abandon the power of imagination too soon because they start to picture the life they want, but then quickly return to worrying and doubting and fearing. They treat imagination like a hobby they do for 5 minutes a day, and then they spend the rest of the 23 hours and 55 minutes negating their work. They plant the seed in the morning meditation, and then they dig it up at lunch with their complaining conversation. They allow the evidence of the senses to erase the truth they briefly held within. They look at the 3D world and say, it isn't working. But I tell you that the 3D world is the last place you should look for confirmation. The 3D world is the echo of your past thoughts. If you look at the echo, you will only create more of the same. You must look at the source. You must be loyal to the unseen reality. To imagine is to plant a seed, and once it is planted, it must be watered, not with doubt, but with trust. You water it by revisiting it, and by feeling it, and by thanking the divine for it before it arrives. We must talk about the discipline of the imagination. It is not enough to simply daydream loosely about something nice. That is a weak imagination. That is like a leaky hose that sprays water everywhere but has no pressure. You must cultivate a controlled and focused imagination. You must construct a scene that implies the fulfillment of your desire. Make it short and make it vivid. If you want a promotion, imagine your boss shaking your hand and congratulating you. Hear the tone of his voice. Feel the grip of his hand. Smell the coffee in the office. Make it sensory. And then replay this scene over and over again until it takes on the tones of reality, until you feel the thrill of accomplishment. This focused intensity is what impregnates the subconscious mind. It is not the length of time you spend imagining, but the intensity and the frequency that matters. You must return to this inner place of power again and again until it feels more real to you than the chair you are sitting on. You must understand how sacred your inner world is, because every thought and every image and every scene you accept as true becomes part of your spiritual signature. What you persist in imagining, you eventually experience. This is not hope, but it is law. The law of consciousness is the law of becoming. We are always imagining. We are imagining when we worry. We are imagining when we gossip. We are imagining when we recount our troubles to a friend. We are constantly building bridges, but most of the time, we are building bridges to places we do not want to go. We are building bridges to conflict and to lack and to sickness. Today you must make a covenant with yourself to stop misusing this sacred power. You must decide to become the conscious architect of your bridges. You must refuse to imagine anything that is not lovely and of good report. When a negative image comes into your mind, you must instantly replace it with the image of your wish fulfilled. This is the work. It is mental labor, but it is the most rewarding labor you will ever perform. So the invitation is to close your eyes and enter that silent space within. This space is the Holy of Holies. It is the sanctuary where you meet God face to face. In this space, there are no limitations. In this space, you are not defined by your past or your bank account or your diagnosis. In this space, you are infinite. Picture the life you want, not as something distant, but as something already real. Do not look at it as a movie screen in the distance. Step into the movie. Be the actor in the scene. Look through your own eyes and see the world from the perspective of the person who has already achieved the dream. If you want to be married, see the ring on your finger. Do not just see a ring floating in space. See it on your own hand. Twist it with your thumb. Feel the cold metal. This associates you with the desire. It makes you the participant rather than the spectator. Walk in it and feel it and touch it and speak from it. Carry on mental conversations with your friends from this new premise. Hear them telling you how happy you look. Hear them asking you how you achieved such success. And hear yourself answering them with humility and gratitude. It is wonderful, isn't it? I am so blessed. These inner conversations are the anchor that holds the ship in the harbor of your desire. And when you rise from this meditation, do not worry about how it will come, because that part is not yours. Your role is to imagine and deliver the vision to the higher power. You have placed the order. The kitchen is preparing the meal. You do not need to go into the kitchen and tell the chef how to cook. You sit at the table in expectation. You set the table. You prepare the space. This is active faith. Imagination is not a tool of escape, but it is the gateway of transformation. The escapist imagines to run away from life. The creator imagines to change life. The escapist uses imagination like a drug to numb the pain of reality. The creator uses imagination like a laser to cut through the illusion of reality and reveal the truth of perfection. Be the creator. Do not use your mind to dwell on how hard your life is. Use your mind to construct the life you deserve. It is the bridge between who you are and who you are becoming, entrusted to the divine. This bridge is solid. It will hold your weight, but you must step onto it. You cannot stand on the edge of the cliff and wish for the other side. You must close your eyes and step onto the invisible plank of faith, and as you step, you will find that the universe rushes to support you. Watch your life unfold in ways that logic could never explain when you honor this faculty. You will find yourself in the right place at the right time. You will find resources appearing out of nowhere. You will find that the people who opposed you suddenly disappear or change their minds. You will find that obstacles turn into stepping stones. This is the magic of the bridge of incidents. The universe will weave a tapestry of events that leads you naturally and logically to your goal. It will seem natural to the outside world. They will say, "Oh, you got lucky," or "What a coincidence." But you will know. You will know that you walked this path first in the silence of your own soul. You will know that the victory was won in the dark before it was seen in the light. Let us speak of the feeling again. The feeling is the secret code that unlocks the bridge. You can visualize all day long, but if you do not feel the reality of it, you are just watching cartoons in your head. You must generate the emotion. You must feel the joy. You must feel the relief. Relief is perhaps the most powerful feeling of all, because it implies that the burden is gone. It implies that the problem is solved. When you imagine the solution to your problem, feel the immense weight lifting off your shoulders. Take a deep breath of relief. That exhale is the signal to the subconscious that the work is done. It is the Sabbath rest. If you can capture the feeling of relief and sustain it, you are on the bridge. You are crossing over. And what if the old reality tries to pull you back? What if you step off the bridge and fall back into fear? Do not judge yourself. Do not condemn yourself. Simply climb back on. The bridge is always there. It never disappears. It is made of the eternal substance of God. Every time you return to your imagination, you strengthen the bridge. Every time you choose the high watch over the low road, you make the path wider and smoother. Eventually, it will become impossible to fall off. You will live so completely in the end that the old self will wither away and die for lack of attention. You will become the new man or the new woman. You will be born again, not of flesh and blood, but of spirit and truth. Your true self is not separate from God. You are the vessel through which God operates. This is not just a comforting idea. It is the eternal truth of your being. You were not created to live apart from the divine, struggling on your own, praying to a distant power that may or may not hear you. You were created as an extension of that power. The life of God breathes through you, thinks through you, speaks through you. Your imagination is God's imagination. When you imagine lovely things, you are letting God enjoy His creation through you. When you imagine restoration, you are letting God heal through you. Do not be afraid of your own power. It is not arrogance to claim your heritage. It is humility to accept the gift that has been given. The arrogant man thinks he does it all by his physical might. The humble man knows he does it by the power of the imagination, which is God. So build your bridge. Build it with beautiful stones of hope and strong beams of faith. Decorate it with the flowers of joy. Walk across it every night before you sleep. Let your sleep be the journey across the bridge. When you drift off to sleep, do not drift off in the problems of the day. Drift off walking across the bridge into your dream life. Wake up on the other side. If you do this night after night, you will one day wake up and find that the dream has hardened into fact. You will find that the bridge has become rock and concrete and you are standing in the promised land. This is the promise of the imagination. It never fails. It cannot fail. It is the law of the universe. Trust it, use it, and let it carry you home. Before we step into the miracle of restoration, pause for a moment. If you can feel the bridge of imagination solidifying beneath your feet, if you are ready to stop building walls and start building bridges to your dreams, then make a covenant with yourself right now. Subscribe to this channel. This is not just a click. It is a declaration that you are prioritizing your spiritual growth above the noise of the world. Join our community of awakened souls. Like this video to seal your intention to receive the restoration that is coming. Now, let us discover how to reclaim what you thought was lost. We gather here in this sacred space of understanding to recognize a profound truth that has the power to change the course of your life. which is that the restoration you seek is not something distant or outside of you, but it is already within, waiting to be claimed. Restoration is the divine promise that nothing is ever truly lost in the economy of the spirit. We live in a world that tells us that once a thing is broken, it is broken forever. We are told that once time is lost, it can never be regained, and that once a relationship is severed, it is dead, and that once health fails, it is a permanent decline. But I am here to tell you that these are the lies of the senses. In the realm of the spirit, there is no such thing as permanent loss. There is only energy waiting to be reshaped. There is only consciousness waiting to be directed. To restore something means to bring it back to its original state of perfection. It means to return it to the divine blueprint. And this miracle of restoration does not happen through hard physical effort, or through worry, or through endless external manipulation. It begins in the invisible realm of your own imagination. The miracle of restoration is the doorway to everything you desire, and it is the silent force that shapes your reality. Whether you realize it or not, every moment of your life is governed by the images and emotions you hold in your mind. When you begin to consciously use this power, you unlock a potential that can transform every area of your life, including those places where you seek healing. You must understand that your outer world is the delayed reflection of your inner world. If your outer world shows you brokenness, it is because you are holding a picture of brokenness in your mind. You are feeding that picture with your attention, and you are watering it with your tears of regret. To restore the outer condition, you must first destroy the inner picture of ruin and replace it with a picture of wholeness. Before anything can change outwardly, it must first change within. This is the law, and the law never deviates. Imagine a painter standing before a blank canvas. The artist does not merely wait for a picture to appear by accident. He does not throw paint at the canvas in frustration, hoping for a masterpiece. He deliberately paints the image he wishes to see. He selects the colors and he defines the shapes and he corrects the mistakes until the image matches the vision in his mind. In the same way, your life is like a canvas and your imagination is the brush that fills it with color and form. If you are waiting for things to change without actively shaping the image in your mind, then you are leaving the canvas empty, or worse, you are letting the chaos of the world paint it for you. Nothing can be restored until you first create the picture of what you desire in its restored state. You must become the artist of your own restoration. You must look at the empty bank account and paint abundance. You must look at the empty chair and paint a loving partner. You must look at the doctor's report and paint vitality. This is not delusion. This is the highest form of sanity, because it is the recognition that you are the creator and not the creature of circumstance. Most people live reactively, seeing what is happening in their world and responding to it often with fear or doubt or frustration. They look at the broken relationship and they react with anger. They look at the lost job and they react with panic. They allow their circumstances to dictate how they feel, and in doing so they keep recreating the same broken experiences. They are trapped in a loop of their own making. If you are constantly focused on what is broken or missing, your imagination will continue to reproduce more of the same, because the subconscious mind is a faithful servant that gives you exactly what you focus on. But if you can shift your focus away from the problem and instead imagine the solution, you set in motion a powerful force of restoration. This shift requires discipline. It requires you to deny the evidence of your senses. It requires you to walk by faith and not by sight. But the reward is a life that defies logic. The reward is a restoration that looks like a miracle to the outside world. This is not about pretending or daydreaming aimlessly, but it is about using your imagination deliberately and with intention. The process begins by asking yourself a crucial question, which is, what would my life look like if the restoration I seek has already occurred? Do not ask how it will happen. Do not ask when it will happen. Just ask what it looks like in the end. What would I see, and what would I hear, and what would I feel? For example, if you are seeking restoration in a relationship, close your eyes and imagine that relationship healed and whole. Do not imagine the argument. Do not imagine the apology. Imagine the life after the reconciliation. Picture the conversations you would have and the harmony between you and the joy of being together. Hear the specific tone of voice of that person speaking to you with love. Feel the texture of their hand in yours. Feel the relief of the conflict being over. Feel it as if it were happening now, because the key is to feel it deeply. Imagination combined with feeling is the secret ingredient that makes restoration possible. Your subconscious mind, which governs much of your experience, responds to emotion far more than to logic. You can think about restoration all day long, but if you feel brokenness, nothing will change. You must marry the thought to the feeling. When you combine a clear mental image with the feeling that it is already true, you impress that reality upon your subconscious. Once this happens, your subconscious mind begins to work behind the scenes to bring about circumstances that align with the image you have created. It will influence your behavior, and it will influence the behavior of others, and it will orchestrate coincidences that lead to the healing. This is the magic of imagination, because it does not simply wish for change, it commands it. Your external world has no choice but to conform to the picture you hold in your inner world. The more vividly and consistently you imagine the restoration you seek, the faster it will come to pass. Let us speak of the restoration of time. Many of you carry the heavy burden of regret. You feel that you have wasted years of your life. You feel that you missed your chance. But I tell you that the spirit is not bound by linear time. The power of restoration includes the power to redeem the past. There is a beautiful promise that says, "I will restore to you the years that the locusts have eaten." This means that when you align with the divine power, the universe can accelerate your progress so fast that you can achieve in 1 year what would normally take 10. You can rebuild your fortune faster than you lost it. You can find a love deeper than the one you let go. Do not mourn the lost years. Bless them for the lessons they taught you, and turn your face to the sun. In the moment of the now, all power exists. If you live in the feeling of the wish fulfilled today, you are rewriting your past and you are creating your future simultaneously. The miracle of restoration collapses time. It brings the distant dream into the immediate present. The process requires faith, because you must believe in the power of your imagination even if you cannot yet see the results. Just as a seed takes time to grow after being planted, your imagined reality needs time to take root. You would not plant a seed and then dig it up the next day to see if it is growing. That would kill the seed. You must trust the darkness of the soil. You must trust the incubation period. Trust the process and continue to hold the vision in your mind, regardless of what your current circumstances may show. The universe, or the unseen forces of creation, will rearrange everything to align with the image you have impressed upon it. Do not be discouraged by the delay. The delay is not a denial. The delay is the time required for the bridge of incidents to form. Your only job during the delay is to remain faithful to the vision. Do not waver. Do not let the old story creep back in. Stand firm as the guardian of your own restoration. Restoration is not a distant possibility, but it is within your reach, and the key to unlocking it is already in your hands. That key is your imagination used wisely. The power to shape your life lies not in the words you speak or the actions you take, but in how you feel. Feeling is the silent force that moves the unseen to become seen and the intangible to become real. It is the bridge between your inner world and the outer reality that unfolds before you. While thoughts are important, it is your feelings that give life to those thoughts, turning mere ideas into lived experiences. This is why feeling is the secret to manifesting any desire, especially when it comes to restoration. At the core of every prayer and every wish and every desire lies the need to feel a certain way. When you ask for a new opportunity or health or peace or love, it is not the physical thing you are truly after, but what you really seek is the feeling that accompanies having it. You want the security that comes with financial abundance, and the joy of being in a loving relationship, and the vitality of a healthy body. These feelings are what you are truly striving for, and they are also the key to bringing those very things into your life. When you think of something you desire, but you feel doubt or worry, those negative emotions are stronger than the desire itself. The universe does not respond to what you want, but it responds to how you feel about what you want. If you are constantly feeling anxious or fearful or desperate, you are inadvertently creating more of those conditions. Even if your mind is filled with positive thoughts, It is not enough to merely think good things, because you must feel them deeply as if they are already true. The process is simple but profound. First, identify what it is you wish to restore or create in your life. Then ask yourself how I would feel if this were already mine. This question is the catalyst. It shifts your consciousness from the problem to the solution. Close your eyes and immerse yourself in that feeling. Time 5 doubts. Imagine what it would be like to live from that state. If you are seeking restoration in a broken relationship, for instance, feel the love and harmony and forgiveness as if they are already present. Do not replay the hurt. Replay the healing. Feel the lightness of a heart that is no longer heavy with resentment. If you desire financial restoration, feel the relief and security of abundance. Even if your current situation shows lack, feel the dignity of being able to pay your bills with ease. Feel the generosity of being able to help others. This feeling must be strong and unwavering. You must not allow external circumstances to dictate how you feel, but instead you choose to live in the feeling of the wish fulfilled regardless of what appears in your outer world. When you do this, you align yourself with the frequency of that desired outcome. Just as a radio must be tuned to a specific station to hear a certain broadcast, you must tune your emotions to the frequency of what you want to experience. You cannot listen to the station of wealth while you are tuned to the frequency of poverty. You cannot listen to the station of health while you are tuned to the frequency of pain. You must turn the dial. The dial is your attention and the frequency is your feeling. The power of feeling is often misunderstood because we are taught to rely heavily on logic and reasoning, but logic alone cannot create the life you desire. Logic looks at the past and predicts the future based on the past. But restoration breaks the pattern of the past. It introduces a new factor into the equation. That factor is the power of God within you. Feeling is what activates the creative process, calling forth the reality that aligns with your inner emotional state. The subconscious mind, which governs much of your experience, is not moved by logic. It is a subjective mind. It accepts whatever you impress upon it with feeling. If you impress upon it the feeling of failure, it will produce failure. If you impress upon it the feeling of success, it will produce success. It does not judge. It does not argue. It simply produces. This is why feeling is the secret. It is the key that unlocks the door to the life you desire. You cannot wait for the outer world to change before you allow yourself to feel good. That is the trap of the sleeping man. He waits for the fire to give him heat before he puts in the wood. But the awakened man knows he must put in the wood of feeling first, and then the fire of manifestation will burn. Instead, you must feel good now in the present moment, as though everything you seek has already been accomplished. In doing so, you shift the entire course of your reality. Feelings are the language of the universe. They communicate your desires in a way that thoughts alone cannot. When your feelings match the vibration of your desires, the universe has no choice but to bring them into your experience. It is a magnetic attraction. So practice feeling the joy and peace and love and abundance that you seek. Make it a daily habit to dwell in those feelings. Do not visit them occasionally like a guest. Live in them like a resident. Make the feeling of restoration your dwelling place, and you will find that your world transforms in ways you never thought possible. Let us look deeper into the specific restoration of health. For those of you carrying the burden of sickness, the miracle of restoration is vital. Your body is a fluid reflection of your consciousness. The cells of your body are constantly listening to your inner conversation. If you are constantly talking about your pain and researching your disease and identifying with the diagnosis, you are commanding your body to remain sick. You are freezing the condition in place with your focus. To restore health, you must withdraw your attention from the symptoms. This requires immense mental strength, but it is possible. You must begin to imagine yourself doing the things you would do if you were well. See yourself running. See yourself working with energy. See yourself laughing without pain. And most importantly, feel the feeling of vitality. Feel the gratitude for a strong body. Even if you are lying in a hospital bed, you can run a marathon in your imagination. And as you run in your imagination, your brain sends the same signals to your muscles as if you were actually running. You are triggering the healing chemistry of the body. You are invoking the divine blueprint of health that exists within you. The body knows how to heal itself. It wants to heal. You only need to stop blocking it with your fear and start supporting it with your faith. And what of the restoration of peace? We live in a world that is addicted to chaos. Many of you have lost your peace of mind. You are plagued by anxiety and insomnia. The miracle of restoration can give you back your sleep and your sanity. You must create a sanctuary of silence within your mind. You must prune the noise of the world. Stop consuming so much fear from the media. Stop engaging in arguments that drain your spirit. Return to the center. Imagine a lake of still water within your soul. Whenever you feel the waves of anxiety rising, go to the lake. Command the waters to be still. Speak peace to your own storm. Peace, be still. These are not just words from a book. They are a metaphysical command. When you claim peace, you restore the balance of your nervous system. You restore the clarity of your mind. And from that place of peace, you can handle any challenge that life throws at you. The miracle of restoration is also a restoration of identity. Many of you have forgotten who you are. You think you are your job or your bank account or your past mistakes. You have identified with the mask you wear. But restoration brings you back to your true self. You are a divine being. You are a creator. You are infinite. When you remember this, you restore your dignity. You restore your power. You stop begging for crumbs and you take your seat at the banquet table. This is the ultimate restoration. It is the return of the prodigal son to the Father's house. It is the return to your source. So I invite you today to become a believer in miracles. Not miracles that fall from the sky, but miracles that rise from within. Look at the areas of your life that seem dead. Prophesy to the dry bones. Speak life into them. Use your imagination to clothe them with flesh and breath. Do not accept the verdict of the world. The world looks at the outward appearance, but you look at the heart. You look at the potential. There is nothing in your life that is beyond repair. There is no relationship too broken. There is no debt too deep. There is no sickness too final. The power that created you is greater than any condition you face. Trust in the miracle of restoration. Claim it, feel it, live it, and watch as the desert of your life blossoms like the rose. It is done. We have spoken of the restoration of your health and your relationships and your time, but now we must address the atmosphere in which these new realities must live. You cannot plant a new garden in soil that is toxic with the chemicals of the past. You cannot pour the new wine of abundance into the old wineskins of resentment. We arrive now at the most transformative phase of our journey, which is the alchemy of forgiveness and abundance. I call it alchemy because it is the magical process of transmuting the lead of your suffering into the gold of your freedom. The journey from lack to abundance begins not with external change, but with a radical shift in your inner consciousness. To move from a state of scarcity to one of abundance, you must first understand that your external reality is a reflection of your internal state. Many people mistakenly believe that their feelings of lack are caused by their circumstances, such as their financial situation, or their lonely relationships, or their failing health. They wait for the world to fill them up before they feel full. But the truth is, these external conditions are simply a mirror of the thoughts and emotions they hold within. The mirror cannot smile before you smile. The world cannot give to you what you are withholding from yourself. When you constantly focus on what you do not have, you only reinforce that sense of lack. The universe is a listener. It listens to your feeling state. If your feeling state is screaming, "I do not have enough," then the universe obediently arranges your life to ensure you continue to not have enough. Conversely, when you shift your focus to what you do have and to the abundance that already exists within you as your divine inheritance, your external world begins to align with that new mindset. The key to making this shift lies in awareness. You must become the watcher of your own mind. Begin by observing your thoughts and the language you use throughout the day. Are you constantly thinking about what is missing from your life? Are you focusing on your debts or your struggles or your frustrations? Every time you think or speak from a place of lack, you are unknowingly creating more of it. You are signing a contract with poverty. The mind, and by extension the universe, is incredibly responsive to your dominant thoughts and feelings. If you continually tell yourself that there is not enough or that you are not enough, you perpetuate that experience. To break this cycle, you must first recognize that abundance is not something you must attain, but it is something you must tune into. It is already present, waiting to be acknowledged. It may seem paradoxical, especially when you are faced with challenging circumstances like an empty bank account or a pile of bills. But the principle is simple. What you focus on expands. If you want to experience abundance, you must focus on abundance even in the smallest forms. You must become a detective of abundance. Look for it everywhere. Look for the abundance of leaves on a tree. Look for the abundance of air in your lungs. Look for the abundance of smiles on the street. This does not mean denying your current reality, but rather choosing to redirect your attention to the things in your life that are going right and to the aspects where you already feel prosperous. Start by cultivating a mindset of gratitude. Gratitude is the alchemical agent. It shifts your focus away from what is lacking and toward the good that is already present. No matter how difficult your situation may seem, there are always things to be grateful for, whether it is the air you breathe or the food on your table or the love of a friend. When you consciously make a habit of appreciating these things, you invite more reasons to feel grateful. This is the law of attraction in action, where like attracts like. The more you focus on the abundance in your life, the more you will attract experiences that reflect that abundance. Gratitude is not just a polite social gesture. It is a magnetic force. It signals to the universe that you are ready to receive more, because you have valued what you have already received. Another crucial aspect of shifting from lack to abundance is changing your self-concept. Many people operate under the unconscious belief that they are not worthy of abundance. They see themselves as limited or undeserving or somehow lacking in the qualities that would allow them to experience prosperity. These beliefs are often formed in early life and can become deeply ingrained in the subconscious mind, acting as a silent saboteur. To shift out of this mindset, you must consciously affirm your worthiness. You are a unique expression of the universe, and abundance is your natural birthright. It is not something you earn through suffering. It is something you accept through identity. Begin to see yourself as someone who is deserving of all the good things life has to offer. Change the narrative you tell yourself, and your outer reality will begin to change as well. Visualization is another powerful tool in this process. Take a few moments each day to imagine yourself living in abundance. Visualize the life you desire, but more importantly, feel the emotions associated with having that life. What would it feel like to be financially secure? What would it feel like to walk into a store and buy what you need without looking at the price tag? Let those feelings of freedom and relief fill your body and mind. When you consistently imagine and feel yourself living in abundance, you impress that reality upon your subconscious. And over time, your external circumstances will begin to reflect that inner state. But here is the great secret that most teachers miss. You cannot hold the frequency of abundance if you are holding the frequency of resentment. They are incompatible energies. Abundance is a flow. Resentment is a blockage. This brings us to the necessity of forgiveness. Forgiveness is one of the most powerful tools for restoration, yet it is often misunderstood or overlooked. Many people think of forgiveness as something they do for others, or a way to absolve someone of their wrongdoings. They think it is a sign of weakness or a lack of self-respect. But in reality, forgiveness is an act of self-liberation, and it is the ultimate act of self-interest. It is the key to restoring not just relationships, but also your own peace of mind and emotional well-being, and your capacity to receive wealth. When you forgive, you are not just releasing another person from blame or guilt, but you are freeing yourself from the heavy burden of resentment and anger. Resentment is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. It corrodes your vessel. It occupies the space in your consciousness that should be filled with creative ideas and loving thoughts. Restoration begins the moment you decide to let go of the past and embrace the freedom that comes with forgiveness. At its core, forgiveness is about breaking the chains that bind you to past hurts. Holding on to grudges or harboring ill feelings towards someone who has wronged you keeps you trapped in a cycle of pain and negativity. It ties you energetically to the person who hurt you, Do you really want to be tied to the person who caused you pain? Do you want to drag them with you into your future? I suspect not. Yet every time you replay the argument in your mind, you are dragging them with you. Every time you wish them ill, you are keeping them close. When you refuse to forgive, you allow the past to dictate your present and your future. You carry the weight of that hurt with you, and it becomes a barrier to the peace and restoration you seek. It acts as a dam blocking the river of abundance. You might be affirming for wealth, but if you are hating your ex-partner or hating your old boss or hating your parents, you are canceling out your own prayer. You are vibrating at the level of contraction, and abundance requires expansion. To restore yourself, you must let go of the idea that forgiveness is about condoning the other person's actions or pretending that the hurt did not happen. Forgiveness does not mean excusing bad behavior or allowing others to walk over you. It does not mean you have to invite them back into your life for dinner. It is an internal operation. It is about releasing your attachment to the pain. It is about choosing to no longer let the actions of others control your emotions or your sense of well-being. When you forgive, you take back your power. You stop being a victim of your history, and you become the master of your destiny. Forgiveness is also essential for restoring relationships, whether it is with a family member or a friend or even yourself. No relationship can be fully healed until forgiveness is granted, because it is the foundation upon which trust and love and understanding can be rebuilt. Without forgiveness, there is always a barrier or a distance that cannot be crossed. But once forgiveness is extended, the door to restoration swings open wide. It allows for honest communication and the rebuilding of trust and the possibility of a renewed connection. Yet forgiveness is not always easy. Many people struggle with it because they believe that holding on to anger or resentment somehow protects them from being hurt again. They use their anger as a shield. They think, if I stay angry, I will stay safe. In reality, holding on to these emotions only deepens the wound. It creates a state of inner turmoil that can manifest in various ways, such as stress or anxiety or bitterness or even physical illness. The stress caused by unforgiveness affects not only your emotional and mental state, but can also have tangible impacts on your physical health, causing ailments such as high blood pressure and weakened immunity and chronic pain. The body keeps the score. If you are holding on to rage, your body is fighting a war that ended 20 years ago. True restoration, therefore, begins by healing from within, and that healing can only happen through forgiveness. You must perform surgery on your own soul. You must cut out the tumor of resentment so that the healthy tissue of your life can grow. Let us look at the method of forgiveness through the lens of the alchemist. How do we actually do it? We do it by using the power of revision. We go back to the memory that hurts us. We look at the person who betrayed us, and instead of replaying the betrayal, we rewrite the scene. This is a radical concept, but I ask you to try it. Imagine that person acting with kindness. Imagine them acting with integrity. Or if that is too difficult, simply imagine them fading away into the light, leaving you in peace. You are not changing history, but you are changing the memory's effect on you. You are changing the frequency of the memory from pain to neutrality. When you can think of the person and feel no emotional reaction, you know the alchemy is complete. You have turned the lead of trauma into the gold of wisdom. You have extracted the lesson and discarded the pain. This frees up a tremendous amount of energy. The energy you were using to hold on to the grudge is now available to build your empire. It is now available to heal your body. It is now available to attract your soulmate. Forgiveness is the best investment you will ever make. It is also important to understand that forgiveness is not just about others, but it is often about forgiving yourself. This is perhaps the hardest gate to pass through. Many people carry deep guilt or shame for mistakes they have made, holding themselves to an impossible standard of perfection. They look back at their financial mistakes or their relationship failures, and they beat themselves up. They say, "I should have known better," or "I am so stupid." This self-condemnation keeps them trapped in a cycle of regret and self-punishment. It creates a subconscious belief that they deserve to suffer. And if you believe you deserve to suffer, you will block every good thing that tries to come to you. You will self-sabotage. You will ruin the new job. You will push away the new lover, because deep down you do not feel worthy. Self-forgiveness is just as crucial as forgiving others. You cannot restore your life or move forward while you are still punishing yourself for past actions. Recognize that you are human, capable of mistakes, but also capable of growth and transformation. You were doing the best you could with the consciousness you had at the time. Now that you know better, you can do better. When you forgive yourself, you release the weight of guilt and open the door to personal restoration. You tell the universe that the debt has been paid. You declare yourself debt-free in the spiritual realm. To begin the process of forgiveness, you must first make the decision to let go. It does not mean that the hurt disappears instantly, but the willingness to forgive sets the intention for healing. Start by acknowledging your pain. Do not suppress it. Feel it one last time, and then consciously choose to release it. Visualize yourself freeing that hurt from your heart, letting it go like a heavy stone falling into a river being carried away by the current. Watch it float away until it is out of sight. In its place, feel the lightness and peace that forgiveness brings. Fill that empty space with the light of abundance. Imagine that every person you forgive leaves behind a bag of gold. Imagine that every guilt you release opens a bank vault. Connect the act of letting go with the act of receiving. Over time, this practice will help you to fully embrace restoration. Forgiveness is a gift you give yourself. It is a profound act of self-love and self-care. Through forgiveness, you restore not only your relationships, but also your own heart and soul. You create space for peace and love and joy to enter your life once again. And in doing so, you open the door to true restoration. You become a clear vessel. When the vessel is clear, the water of life can flow through it without obstruction. This flow is what we call abundance. Abundance is not a pile of money sitting in a room. Abundance is a current. It is energy in motion. When you are resentful, you are a stagnant pond. When you are forgiving, you are a rushing river. Money flows to the river. Health flows to the river. Love flows to the river. Be the river. Let go of any resistance to abundance. Often people hold on to lack because it feels familiar or because they fear change. They fear that if they become wealthy, they will become corrupt or they will lose their friends. These are weeds in the garden. Pull them out. Release any attachment to your current circumstances, knowing that abundance is your natural state. Trust that the universe is always moving you toward greater abundance when you align your thoughts, feelings, and actions with that truth. The shift from lack to abundance is an inner transformation. By focusing on gratitude, changing your self-concept, visualizing abundance, and letting go of resistance, you can move from a mindset of scarcity to one of prosperity. Abundance is not something outside of you. It is already within, waiting to be realized. Think of the story of the prodigal son. He squandered his inheritance. He made terrible mistakes. He ended up eating with the pigs. But when he decided to return home, his father did not scold him. His father did not demand repayment. His father ran to meet him and put a ring on his finger and a robe on his back. This is the nature of the universe. It does not hold your past against you. It is waiting for you to return to the consciousness of abundance. The moment you forgive yourself and return to the awareness of your divine worth, the universe rushes to meet you with the fatted calf. The ring is waiting, the robe is waiting. But you must leave the pigsty of resentment. You must walk the road of forgiveness. So today I invite you to perform this alchemy. Write down the names of everyone who has ever hurt you. Look at the list, and one by one set them free. Say to them, I release you, I forgive you, I wish you well. You are free and I am free. Feel the cords cutting. Feel the energy returning to you. Then write down your own name. Look at it and say, I forgive you. You learned. You grew. You are innocent. Feel the heavy cloak of shame falling off your shoulders. Stand up straight. Breathe in the air of freedom. You are now ready to receive. The blockages are gone. The dam is broken. The river is flowing. Prepare yourself for the flood of good that is about to enter your life. It is inevitable. It is law. It is yours. We have cleared the garden of resentment through forgiveness, and we have planted the seeds of desire through imagination, but now we arrive at the great testing ground of the soul, which is the interval of waiting. This is the valley where many travelers lose their way because they rely on the limited report of their physical senses. We must now explore the profound principle that underlies the very nature of creation and transformation, which requires trusting in forces that are invisible to the physical senses, but are nonetheless powerful and real. This kind of faith is not blind optimism or wishful thinking, but a deep inner knowing that what you desire and what you have imagined and what you feel as real in your heart and mind will manifest, even if there is no immediate evidence in the physical world. It is the understanding that the unseen realm of thought and imagination is the birthplace of all that becomes tangible in life. To have faith in the unseen is to recognize that everything begins with an idea or a thought or a feeling. Nothing exists in the physical world that did not first exist in the invisible realm of the mind. Every invention and every structure and every work of art and even every relationship first existed as an unseen possibility in someone's imagination before it became a physical reality. This process is governed by natural laws, just like the law of gravity, and it operates whether we are aware of it or not. The challenge for most people is learning to trust in the unseen, especially when the outer world appears to contradict their desires. We must begin by redefining the nature of reality itself. Most people live their lives trapped in the illusion that the physical world is the cause and their inner world is the effect. They believe that if they see money in the bank, then they can feel wealthy, and if they see a smile on a face, then they can feel loved. They are slaves to the mirror. But the awakened soul knows that the physical world is the effect and the inner world is the cause. The physical world is nothing more than the crystallized reflection of past thoughts and past beliefs. When you look at your current circumstances, you are looking at the past. You are looking at a dead star. The light you see from a star may have taken millions of years to reach you, and the star itself may no longer exist. In the same way, the circumstances you see today are the result of vibrations you offered yesterday or last year. If you react to them, you are perpetuating the past. Faith in the unseen is the courage to ignore the dead star and focus on the new sun that is being born in your imagination. It is the ability to stand in the midst of lack and see abundance. It is the ability to stand in the midst of sickness and feel health. This is not madness. This is the highest form of sanity because it is the alignment with the creative power of the universe. Faith in the unseen requires a radical shift in perspective. Most people are conditioned to base their beliefs on what they can see and hear and touch and measure. They look to the external world for proof, and when they do not see evidence of what they desire, they lose hope or give up. But this approach is backward because the outer world is a reflection of inner consciousness. It is the beliefs and thoughts and emotions you hold internally that shape your external reality. Therefore, you must cultivate the ability to believe in your vision even when there is no physical evidence to support it. You must become comfortable with the void. The void is not empty. It is pregnant with possibility. It is the dark room where the film is developed. If you turn on the lights too soon in a dark room, you ruin the picture. You must trust the darkness. You must trust the silence. You must trust that in the invisible realm, a massive reorganization of energy is taking place to accommodate your new assumption. Just because you cannot see the roots of the tree growing beneath the soil does not mean the tree is dead. It means it is preparing to break the surface. One of the most important aspects of faith in the unseen is understanding the role of imagination as the true reality. Imagination is not a mere escape from reality, but a powerful tool for creation. When you imagine something vividly and feel it as though it is already true, you are planting a seed in the unseen realm. Just like a seed planted in the soil, it takes time for that seed to grow and become visible. The key is to remain patient and steadfast in your faith, knowing that just because you cannot see the seed growing does not mean it is not growing. You must continue to nourish it with your belief and feeling, trusting that it will eventually break through the surface and become part of your physical reality. Imagine a farmer who plants a field of corn. He does not go out the next day and stomp on the ground in anger because he sees no corn. He does not dig up the seeds to check if they are working. He rests in the confidence of the law of nature. He knows that the earth has the power to bring forth the harvest. You must have that same confidence in the law of mind. Your subconscious mind is the earth. Your desire is the seed. Your faith is the water. If you do your part, the harvest is inevitable. Faith in the unseen also involves letting go of the need for control. You do not need to know how your desire will come to pass. And in fact, trying to figure out all the details can create resistance. The universe, or the deeper intelligence within you, knows the perfect way to bring your desires into being. Your job is to hold the vision and feel the reality of your desire and trust that the unseen forces are working on your behalf. The how is not your concern, but the what and the feeling of already having it are your primary focus. The rational mind wants to know the how because it wants to feel safe. It wants a roadmap. But the spiritual mind knows that the destination is guaranteed, so the route does not matter. The bridge of incidents that leads to your fulfillment may be strange and unexpected. You might be led down paths that seem like wrong turns. You might face challenges that seem like setbacks. But if you have faith in the unseen, you will recognize these things as necessary steps in the unfolding of the drama. You will not judge by appearances. You will hold the high watch, knowing that all things are working together for your good. Another essential aspect of faith in the unseen is persistence. You must persist in your belief, even when the outer world shows no signs of change. This is where many people falter because they become discouraged, when their circumstances do not immediately reflect their desires, and they begin to doubt or revert to old limiting beliefs. The world will try to talk you out of your dream. Your friends may call you a dreamer. Your bank account may mock you. Your body may scream in pain. This is the test. This is the fire that refines the gold. Faith is the ability to hold on to your vision, even in the face of apparent failure or delay. You must remain loyal to the unseen reality you are creating, knowing that it will eventually be realized in the physical world if you do not waver. We call this brazen impudence. It is a holy stubbornness. It is the refusal to take no for an answer from the material world. It is looking at the facts and saying, I do not accept you as final. I accept only my imaginal act as final. When you have this kind of persistence, the world has no choice but to yield. The world is fluid. It is malleable. It bends to the strongest vibration. If your faith is stronger than the facts must change. Faith in the unseen is the foundation of conscious creation, and it is the understanding that the invisible realm of thought and belief and imagination is the true source of everything you experience in the physical world. By trusting in this unseen power and persisting in your vision and aligning your emotions with your desired outcome, you activate the creative forces that will bring your desires into being. This faith allows you to move through life with confidence, knowing that the outer world will eventually reflect the inner reality you have cultivated. Think of the radio waves that fill the room you are sitting in right now. You cannot see them, you cannot touch them, but if you have a receiver and you tune it to the right frequency, you can hear music. The music was always there in the unseen. You just needed the device to translate it. Your consciousness is the receiver. Your desire is the music. It is already playing in the unseen. You do not need to create the music, you just need to tune your vibration to match it. Faith is the act of tuning. When you doubt, you are tuning out. When you worry, you are tuning into static. When you trust, you are tuning into the clear signal of your desire. Let us discuss the concept of calling things that are not as though they were. This is the ancient method of the miracle worker. It means you speak to the invisible as if it were visible. You walk through your empty house and thank God for the furniture that is not yet there. You walk to your car that keeps breaking down and thank God for the new reliable vehicle that is coming. You look at your empty hands and feel the weight of the gold that is yours by divine right. This practice bridges the gap between the dimensions. It creates a vacuum in the universe that must be filled. Nature abhors a vacuum. When you claim possession in the unseen, you create a space that the seen world must rush to fill. But you must do it with feeling, not just words. You must feel the reality of it. You must feel the thrill of it. You must feel the gratitude of it. Gratitude is the ultimate expression of faith because we only give thanks for what we have already received. When you give thanks before the physical manifestation, you are telling the universe that you have received it in the only place that matters, which is your imagination. We must also address the fear that arises when we trust the unseen. The ego hates the unknown. It wants guarantees. It wants safety. When you step out in faith, the ego will scream at you. It will tell you that you are being irresponsible. It will tell you that you are going to be embarrassed. You must learn to soothe the ego like a frightened child. Do not fight it. Just tell it, I know you are scared, but we are trying a new way. We are trusting a higher power. You must be willing to look foolish to the world in order to be wise in the spirit. All the great visionaries looked foolish at first. The Wright brothers looked foolish trying to fly. Edison looked foolish trying to capture light in a bulb. But they saw something in the unseen that the rest of the world could not see. And because they were loyal to that vision, they changed the world. You are a visionary of your own life. You see a version of yourself that does not yet exist in the flesh. Be loyal to that version. Do not let the opinions of others dim your vision. They are looking at the past. You are looking at the future. Faith in the unseen is also a form of mental diet. Just as you would not eat rotten food, you should not consume rotten thoughts. When the world presents you with bad news, you must refuse to digest it. You must refuse to let it become part of your belief system. You act as a gatekeeper. You say, this may be true for others, but it is not true for me. My world is governed by a different law. This does not mean you are ignorant of the suffering in the world. It means you choose not to participate in it energetically. You choose to be a light. You choose to hold the frequency of solution rather than the frequency of the problem. By holding your faith, you become an anchor of stability for those around you. Your faith lifts others up. Your certainty calms their fears. You become a living demonstration of the power of the unseen. Let us remember that the unseen is not just a void. It is filled with assistance. When you trust the unseen, you are not trusting in nothingness. You are trusting in the infinite intelligence that governs the cosmos. You are trusting in the power that heals a cut on your finger without your conscious direction. You are trusting in the power that beats your heart while you sleep. This power is on your side. It wants you to thrive. It wants you to succeed. It is constantly conspiring in your favor, but it respects your free will. If you choose to believe in limitation, it will grant you limitation. If you choose to believe in abundance, it will grant you abundance. Faith is the choice to believe in the goodness of the unseen. It is the choice to believe that the universe is friendly. It is the choice to believe that you are supported. So, I invite you today to practice the art of blindness. Be blind to the things you do not want to see. Be blind to the lack. Be blind to the hostility. Be blind to the failure, and open your inner eye, the eye of the imagination. See only what you wish to see. See the beauty, see the success, see the love. Walk by the light of that inner eye. It will never lead you astray. It is the candle of the Lord within you. It shines in the darkness, and the darkness cannot overcome it. Trust your inner vision more than you trust the news. Trust your inner feeling more than you trust your bank statement. Trust your inner knowing more than you trust the experts. You are the expert of your own reality. You are the author of your own story. And the story is written with the ink of faith on the pages of the unseen. Hold fast to your confession of faith without wavering. Do not be like a wave of the sea driven and tossed by the wind. Be a rock. Be immovable. When you wake up in the morning, declare your faith. I believe in the power of my imagination. I believe that my desire is a promise. I believe that it is done. And when you go to sleep at night, rest in that faith. Fall asleep in the arms of the wish fulfilled. Let your dreams be sweet with the knowledge that the unseen is working while you sleep. Building bridges, opening doors, softening hearts, arranging the molecules of the universe to match your dream. It is happening even now, especially now. Just because you cannot see it does not mean it is not real. In fact, it is more real than the chair you are sitting on, because the chair will eventually crumble to dust, but your imaginal act is eternal. It is a spiritual fact. And in due season, if you do not faint, you will reap the harvest. This is the law. This is the promise. This is the power of faith in the unseen. We have journeyed together through the stillness of the introduction, and the anatomy of surrender, and the bridge of imagination, and the miracle of restoration, and the alchemy of forgiveness, and the faith in the unseen. But now we arrive at the destination. We arrive at the place where all spiritual work must eventually lead, which is the state of the great release. This is not merely the end of a video or the conclusion of a lecture, but it is the beginning of a new way of living. We have gathered all the tools and we have cleared all the blockages, and now we must perform the final act of the Creator, which is to rest. In the ancient texts, this state is called the Sabbath, but do not mistake this for a day of the week or a religious observance. The Sabbath is a psychological state of absolute trust. It is the moment when the architect puts down his pen because the blueprint is finished. It is the moment when the farmer puts away his plow because the seed is in the ground. It is the deep exhale of the soul that says, "It is finished." If you cannot enter this rest, you cannot manifest your desire, because your restlessness is the proof that you do not yet believe it is done. We must understand that the Sabbath is the result of the divine surrender we spoke of at the beginning. You have surrendered the how, and you have surrendered the when, and you have surrendered the who. Now you must surrender the effort itself. Relax and ask like this. When we approach life with tension, trying hard to make things happen, we miss the magic of how life truly works. The truth is, you already possess everything you desire, and it exists within you, waiting for recognition, not force. The moment you assume that what you desire is already yours, you step into the realm of true creation. This is not a mere wish or fleeting hope, but it is an inward acceptance that you are already in possession of the thing you seek. To assume something is to believe with unwavering conviction that it is your present reality. This assumption, when sincerely felt, transforms your inner state and projects a new reality onto the world around you. It is not an act of desperation or force, but one of ease and faith. When you assume that your desire is already fulfilled, you bypass the need for external validation or approval. You no longer look to the world for proof of your desires manifesting, but instead you dwell in the feeling that it is already done and that the outcome has already been achieved. This is where the true power of assumption lies, because it frees you from doubt and struggle. Rather than waiting for the outer world to change before you can feel satisfied, you shift into the feeling of satisfaction now. You create from within, knowing that the external will eventually reflect your internal state. Assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled is a practice that requires consistency and trust. At first, it may feel strange to assume something that has not yet manifested in physical reality. The logical mind will fight you. It will scream at you that you are delusional. It will point to the empty bank account and the empty bed and the medical report. But you must be stronger than the logical mind. You must understand that the moment you make that assumption and genuinely feel it to be true, a shift occurs within you, and your consciousness begins to align with the reality you have assumed. And unseen forces start moving to bring about the necessary conditions for its manifestation. It is important to note that assumption is not a passive process, but it is an active choice to believe in the reality of your desire, despite any contradictory evidence. You must persist in this assumption, especially in the face of doubt or when the outer world seems unchanged. Persistence in the assumption that your desire is already yours is the key to maintaining your inner state and allowing your outer reality to conform to it. The power of assumption teaches us that we are not victims of circumstance, but we are the creators of our reality, and we hold the power to shape it by consciously directing our thoughts and feelings. When you assume that you already have what you desire, you step into a new version of yourself, a version that embodies the qualities and experiences and outcomes you wish to see in your life. In doing so, you align with the higher reality of your imagination, which has no limits or constraints. By simply assuming the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you place yourself in harmony with the law of creation. You no longer need to try hard or struggle against the current of life, but instead you allow life to unfold naturally, confident in the knowledge that what you desire is already yours. All that remains is for you to relax and trust and persist in this inner knowing. Let us speak of the profound psychology of the great release. Why is it so hard for us to let go? It is because we are addicted to the feeling of doing. We feel that if we are worrying, we are doing something useful. We feel that if we are stressed, we are being responsible. But I tell you that worry is the most unproductive activity of the human mind. Worry is the act of imagining what you do not want. When you worry, you are taking the power of God and using it to build a prison. The great release is the decision to stop building the prison. It is the decision to trust the sea. Imagine if a woman who was pregnant spent every day worrying if the baby was growing. Imagine if she tried to force the growth with her mind. It would be madness. She rests in the knowledge that the wisdom of her body knows what to do. Your subconscious mind is the womb. Your desire is the child. Once you have conceived the idea through the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you are pregnant with the miracle. Your only job now is to take care of yourself and to remain in a state of positive expectancy. You do not need to force the birth. The birth will happen in its own perfect time. If you try to force it, you will only cause pain and delay. This state of rest does not mean you will sit on the couch and do nothing for the rest of your life. This is a common misunderstanding. When you enter the Sabbath, you become a channel for inspired action. You will find yourself moving and doing and creating, but the energy behind the action will be different. It will not be the frantic energy of fear. It will be the joyful energy of play. You will do things because you want to do them, not because you feel you have to do them to save yourself. You will make the phone call because it feels exciting. You will go to the meeting because it feels like the next logical step. You will be led by the invisible hand. This is the difference between working for your desire and working from your desire. When you work for it, you are a slave. When you work from it, you are a master. The great release frees you from the slavery of the how. You no longer need to figure out how the money will come or how the healing will happen. That is the job of the universe. Your job is to maintain the feeling of the end. There is a beautiful peace that comes when you finally get this. It is the peace that passes all understanding. It is the peace of the soldier who knows the war is over. You can put down your weapons. You can take off your armor. You can stop fighting the world. You can stop fighting people. You can stop fighting yourself. The war is over because you have won in your imagination. And if you have won in your imagination, the victory in the physical world is just a matter of time. It is a formality, the check has been signed, and it is in the mail. You do not need to call the bank every 5 minutes to see if it is there. You know it is coming. This knowing is the rock upon which you build your life. When you have this knowing, you become unshakable. People can say what they want. The news can say what it wants. The economy can do what it wants. You remain unmoved because you have seen the end, and the end is good. I want to address the fear that comes up when you stop struggling. The ego will panic. It will tell you that you are being lazy or irresponsible. It will tell you that you are in denial. You must talk to your ego like a wise parent talks to a scared child. You must say, I know you are scared, but we are trying a new way. We are trusting a power greater than ourselves. You must be patient with yourself as you learn this new way of being. It takes practice to trust. It takes practice to let go. You have spent years training yourself to struggle. Do not expect to become a master of surrender overnight. If you fall back into worry, do not beat yourself up. Just gently guide your mind back to the state of the wish fulfilled. Remind yourself that the work is done. Say to yourself, I remember when I was worried about this, but now I am free. Use the technique of, I remember when to place the problem in the past tense. Even if the problem is still staring you in the face, physically place it in the past mentally. Say, I remember when I was sick, even as you lie in the hospital bed. This pushes the current reality into the past and pulls the future reality into the present. The great release is also a release of the old identity. You cannot hold on to the new desire while holding on to the old man. The old man is the victim. The old man is the one who was hurt. The old man is the one who failed. You must let him go. You must give him a proper burial. You cannot drag the corpse of your past into the future of your dreams. You must decide today who you are. Are you the victim of your history, or are you the creator of your destiny? You cannot be both. You must choose. And when you choose the creator, you must release the victim. You must stop telling the sad stories of your past. You must stop looking for sympathy. You must stop defining yourself by your trauma. This is a radical release. It requires you to stand naked before the universe without your excuses. But in that nakedness, you will find your true power. You will find that you are not the stories you told yourself. You are the infinite awareness behind the stories. You are the I am. As we bring this journey to a close, I want you to feel the weight lifting off your shoulders. Visualize a heavy coat that you have been wearing for years. A coat woven of worry and fear and doubt and regret. Visualize yourself taking that coat off and letting it drop to the floor. Step out of it, step into the light. Feel the cool air on your skin. You are free, you are lighter, you are ready to fly. This is the great release. It is the shedding of the skin. It is the emergence of the butterfly from the cocoon. The struggle of the cocoon is over. The flight has begun. Do not try to crawl back into the cocoon. It is too small for you now. You have outgrown your smallness. You have outgrown your limitations. You are ready for the sky. Remember that you are never alone in this process. The invisible cord connects you to all of life. When you release your struggle, you make it easier for others to release theirs. When you trust, you emit a vibration of trust that calms the storms in others. You become a pillar of light in a dark world. Your peace becomes a gift to humanity. So do not think that this work is selfish. It is the most selfless thing you can do. By healing yourself, you heal the world. By restoring yourself, you participate in the restoration of all things. You are a vital part of the divine plan. The universe needs you to be happy. It needs you to be whole. It needs you to be abundant. Because only then can you express the fullness of the glory of God. So go forth from this place, not as a seeker but as a finder. Go forth not as a beggar but as a king. Go forth with the quiet confidence of the one who knows. Do not look back at Sodom and Gomorrah. Do not look back at the pain. Look forward to the promise. Keep your eyes on the prize. Keep your heart open. Keep your mind stayed on the wish fulfilled. And when the doubt comes, simply say, "It is finished." When the fear comes, say, "It is finished." When the world tries to shake you, say, "It is finished." Because it is. The seed is in the ground. The harvest is sure. The promise is kept. Let this be your mantra in the days ahead. Let it be the song of your soul. I surrender. I trust. I receive. It is done. Say it when you wake up. Say it when you go to sleep. Say it when you are driving. Let it sink into your bones until it becomes your reality. You are the architect of reality and you have designed a masterpiece. Now let the master builder build it. Step back and watch the show. Watch the miracles unfold. Watch the restoration happen. It will be better than you can imagine. It will be sweeter than you can dream. Because God is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we ask or think. Thank you for walking this path with me. Thank you for your courage. Thank you for your trust. May you be blessed beyond measure. May you find the peace that you seek. May you see the restoration of all that you love. It is yours. It has always been yours. Claim it now and rest. The great release is here. It is done. As we part ways in the physical but remain connected in the spirit, remember that knowledge unused is like a seed unplanted. You have the tools. You have the understanding. Now you must live it. If this message has been a sanctuary for your soul, subscribe to the channel so we can continue this journey home together. Share this video with someone who is carrying a heavy burden. Be the hand of God for them. And leave a comment below declaring, "I surrender. I trust. It is done." Let that be your final seal upon this work. Go in peace and watch the miracles unfold.